Hey guys, Keith here. I got my hat off again. I ain't sure. I might ought to put that thing back on. I swear I got more white and more forehead than anything else right there. So I don't like it. I just don't. I mean, I know I'm getting old, but hey, I don't want to admit it. But anyway, I wanted to share a video with you here, or share some things with you today on this video that I was going to share a few weeks ago, and kind of when I was going through it. Now I'm not going through it as much, but I want to still share it because I feel like it's relevant and hopefully something would help you if you have this situation. And it's post surgery blues or post op blues. I don't know if that works, but post surgery anyway. Um, and they really should give you some kind of a guide or something. They tell you all these things, and maybe they did, and I just didn't read it all. But they give me so much stuff. But most of it was, about pain and kind of dealing with different things in therapy and all that stuff. But your body, even though I just had shoulder surgery, I just got a little scar about right here. That's it. But still, it affects from here on down. And I know when my dad he had a heart attack 20 some years ago, and he had stents put in, and they give him a book. I think what I remember him telling me that because there's some depression that goes on after the fact. Like women when they have babies, they can go into a depression postpartum, and so I kind of had that, that post surgery blues, and I had so many physical things going on. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I didn't feel good. I was nauseated. I was weak. I don't know, just had a lot of, I mean, I won't go into all of it. Some it's kind of gross. But anyway, but I just had a lot of stuff. The pain meds mess you up. I'll just say they mess your stomach up. And so I just had all these things going on. And then, of course, mentally, I'm thinking about my job, which, if you've seen the last couple of videos, I got fired from my job. And I was dealing with the post surgery blues before I got fired. So you can imagine, what happened after that. But anyway, I'm okay. I'm gonna be all right. I'm not dwelling on that. I'm letting that go. Um, but just the physical changes, the emotional changes, the mental changes that's going on in your life, all those things happening. The first week wasn't too bad because I felt like I got through surgery pretty good. I was in the hospital, for one night. I was there by myself, and I felt okay. I just had pain, and everything. But the first few days wasn't extremely bad, but it's like, well, the next week was worse, and the next. Anyway, it was just crazy. Just like I said, trying to get comfortable and sleep, and your whole life's just turned upside down. And so many times in our lives, anytime we have trauma in our lives, as I've said before, I've lost my spouse. A lot of you have lost your spouses, your widows, widowers, and it's just traumatic. It affects your whole makeup, everything from head to toe, inside and out. And there's just a lot to deal with. If you go through a divorce, same thing. You're just dealing with all these things, and your body and your mind and your emotions are all trying to get on the same page, but it's hard for that to happen sometimes because you're trying to process the trauma. And you know what I've tried to do lately as far as processing the trauma, and especially you know after I kind of got to feeling better after surgery, and then I lost my job at 60 years old, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now what? So I'm like, I have to make this work. I can't stay in this state of mind because I've been in a state that's not been good a few times. A few nights I've had some bad nights, and I'm like, I cannot do this. I can't live like this. I refuse to live like this. And I listen to Steve Harvey. I love to watch him. He's very encouraging. If you haven't watched him on YouTube, check him out. Of course, he does Family Feud, and he's got his own the Steve Harvey Show. But after those shows, he'll do some motivational type stuff, and he always talks about God, and he says that I talk about God, and if you're not a Christian, that's okay. If you don't believe in God, that's okay. I didn't know you was going to be here, kind of thing. And he kind of, but I used to be a pastor. I was a pastor for a few years. My wife uh, became more sick, and we were dwindling down on our numbers and trying to keep all that going. We had to finally close our doors, and so I haven't pastored in many years. I've preached a few times since then, or spoke. I don't really call it preaching; I call it teaching. But anyway, I'd like to do more of that because I love to teach. I love to give people knowledge and share things, my own experiences, other people's experiences, and that kind of thing. But anyway, he, I guess when my wife passed away, I prayed for her so long, so many hours, so many nights. I would pray myself to sleep, praying for her healing because I couldn't see anything else. I couldn't see her gone. Even though toward the end I knew that that was a possibility. The doctors had told us it was a possibility, and more of a probability. But I just, I like, what are we gonna do? I mean, she's our life. We've, what's my kids gonna do? How are they gonna react? All this stuff. And when she passed, I didn't get. I don't know as I blamed God. I don't know as I got mad at God, but I felt like my prayers had went unanswered a little bit, and so I kind of quit reaching out to God. And listening to Steve just here in the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks maybe, um, he talks about, I wouldn't be here where I'm at today if it wasn't for God, and I know that, I know that God watches over us, and I'm trying to reach out to Him more and pray more and trust in Him more. And you don't have to be a Christian to believe in God. I mean, you don't have to, be at church every Sunday and all this stuff, but um, you know, believing in God and trusting in Him and just asking for things. Yeah, Steve talked about you have not because you ask not, and I've got a whole video on that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but sometimes we just get ourselves kind of in a funk. We get in a place either because of surgery, because of divorce, because we got fired, because we lost a spouse. Even just a breakup between a girlfriend and boyfriend can be very devastating. Anytime there's any kind of loss, maybe the stock market drops and your 401k or your IRA, and you look at it and it's like, oh my goodness, it's a lot lower than it was. Any kind of loss can, really mess with you. And sometimes you just need somebody to turn to. And, I was realizing the other day, I don't really have a lot of people to turn to. People. I don't have a lot of people that I can just turn to and say, hey, I need to talk. I'll be honest with you, I don't know that many. I had one that I called the other night, and she's an ex-girlfriend from way back, and I haven't talked to her in a long time. I was like, I need to talk. And she was gracious enough to listen to me and, talk to me for a while. But I really don't have any friends to talk to, and, a lot of people don't. No matter what age you are, it's hard to find somebody that either you can trust, that's going to be confidential about things, or that is going to take the time to talk with you. And God is always there, and I know we can't see Him and we can't hear Him really as far as an audible voice, but He is there. And, if believing in that and just trusting in Him and saying, listen, I know you can do anything, and this job thing, not a big deal. You can take care of it. This shoulder thing, not a big deal. You can take care of it. Loss of my wife, you can take care of it. Whether you're bringing somebody else into my life at some point, or you're going to just, give me a peace at being alone, whatever it is. And so I guess it's more of a godly message here for you. But if you're struggling in any area, it's reaching out to God and just trusting in Him. Reading Scripture, you don't have to read the whole Bible. You don't have to read, but some of it's, I get some of it's a little bit hard for us to understand. But there are some really great scriptures. There's some promise books that I have that pulls out certain scriptures, and you can search for certain scriptures on Google now, of course, and Bible app and that kind of thing. Things that you're struggling with, whether it be finances or relationships or health or whatever. and there's scriptures around that will help encourage you. And so, anyway, I want you to be encouraged tonight. I mean, I've had a crazy year. I mean, I've had all kinds of things going on this year, a lot of losses, and a lot of things, but I refuse to be down. I refuse to let it get me down. It's frustrating sometimes, and I have trouble at night, maybe letting go and going to sleep because I get to thinking about things. But I've tried to just release it to him and give it to him and say, listen, I ain't got time for this. I've got to move on. I've got to be a better person, and I've got to move on with the good things in life, and all that junk that's behind me, and the people that didn't believe in me or whatever, that didn't, that let me down, that betrayed me, that cheated me, that left me, whatever. I got to let all that go. I got to let all that be behind me, and instead of looking in the rearview mirror, I got to look through the windshield and look at the big picture and what's in front of me. So that's what I'm going to do, and I hope you'll do that as well. I hope this is encouraging to you. Just turn to God. I mean, I don't have a great scripture for you. I guess the one I would think of, that I think of all the time, is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so if you believe in that, I can do all things, not just a couple things, not one thing, not a dozen things, all things through Christ who strengthens me. My favorite verses. And so anyway, I'll give you that and end with that. But anyway, if you could give us a thumbs up on this, subscribe to us if you would. And I hope you're having a great night. I hope you're not in post-surgery blues or any kind of blues. But if you are, or if you have been, or if you might be next week, maybe this video will be helpful to you. I hope it is, and I hope you're having a great one. Thanks.